With the Season 5 update now live, you might have noticed that a lot of your favorite guns just kind of feel different now. With all these nerfs and buffs that have been added to these weapons, I decided to go and spend the last couple hours testing out all the weapons currently in COD Mobile and have put together this top 10 list of the best weapons. Just an FYI, this list will not include shotguns and snipers, for there wasn't anything major done specifically with individual snipers or shotguns, but if you guys do end up enjoying today's video, smacking a like on it would be awesome, as well as if you are new, be sure to go and subscribe. I do daily COD Mobile videos. But without further ado, we might as well jump into the number 10 spot here. Coming in at the number 10 spot here, unfortunately, I have to give it to the BK57. Now, I had such high hopes going into the Season 5 update here because within the weapon balance patch notes, they actually said that they went and increased the BK57 damage range. So I was expecting the BK57 to be a pretty good contender, especially for like a top 5 spot, but no, just like by going and using it for at least 3 games here, it just didn't feel like that reliable of a weapon. Like, it is a lot better than something like the S36, for example, or just a lot of the other light machine guns, but just it wasn't feeling good in terms of like a damage perspective. There would be times in which I would be shooting at an enemy and then I would look away assuming that, oh yeah, I already put enough bullets in that guy, he's probably going to be dead, and that was not the case. Like, you have to put in a lot more bullets than, you know, you at least wanted to. But it was good in terms of just the firing rate with the weapon as well as the recoil. Those were 2 main things that I was really happy with the BK57, but still, nevertheless, I just expected something better with it. Coming in at the number 9 spot here, I have to give it to the M4. Now, I feel like the M4 definitely deserves the title of being the most consistent weapon ever in Call of Duty Mobile. Whether or not you go and look at the M4 from Season 1 and go and compare it to the M4 in Season 5 here, there's practically no change with it whatsoever. So you already know like a lot of the limitations with the M4. It's always just been a very consistent, reliable weapon. You know that you can't do anything super extraordinary with the weapon, nor is it one of the best weapons out there, but it is 100% reliable. Whether or not you go and look at it from a recoil perspective, it's really good. A damage perspective, considering what it is, it's still a really solid weapon. Even though it didn't get any nerfs or buffs here with the Season 5 update, it's still one of those weapons that is very, very reliable and consistent. Coming in at the number 8 spot here, I have to go and give it to the RPD. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of like, hold up, Parker, what about the S36, the almighty S36? Well, guys, with this new Season 5 update, the S36 is not even on this list anymore. I don't know how many people have actually went and used it, but the S36 is just straight up trash now. And in terms of going and ranking it amongst other LMGs, the RPD is definitely the best LMG currently in COD Mobile for Season 5 here. Just way more superior than any other LMG currently in the category, whether or not it's the M4 LMG, the S36, the UL. I thought the RPD is definitely going to be a weapon that I see a lot more people going and using here for Season 5, and it's a weapon that you guys should really go and swap out if you currently have an S36 class. Okay, now this really pains me to go and say this because, dude, I wanted this weapon to be absolutely amazing here in Season 5 for me, but it just didn't cut it. So at the number 7 spot, I have to give it to the AK-47. So I was really happy going into, you know, Season 5 with reading the patch notes beforehand, because the weapon balances sheet said that the AK-47 was going to go and have increased stability. And that's always been the major struggle with me when going and using the AK-47, was just the recoil was super crazy and I wasn't able to go and properly use it. But just by going and using it within multiple games throughout this update so far, it just doesn't feel any different for me, and I feel like there are way more other superior weapons currently on this list that's just so much better than the AK-47. But I will say this about the AK-47, it really does just do the best amount of damage in those mid-range gunfights, but just the moment you're in those longer range engagements, there's just too much recoil in my personal opinion, as well as whenever you go and find yourself in a close range gunfight, it doesn't do that much damage that you would like for it to go and do, especially considering like the firing rate with the weapon, and if you're going up against someone with like an RUS or something like an MSMC, it's not really the greatest at those short range gunfights. At the number 6 spot here, I'm going to go and give it to the LK24. Now, dude, if you guys have not tried out the LK24 yet, be sure to go and do so. Like, hop on COD Mobile right after this video and go select an LK24 class and go and try it out, man. Because in my opinion, I thought the LK24 was a really solid weapon. In terms, if we go into the patch notes, they say that they went and nerfed it. They went and reduced the damage range with the LK24. But the weapon felt very, very good for me. In terms of like a firing rate, it's pretty good. In terms of the recoil with the weapon, in my opinion, I feel like it's very, very good and clean. But yeah, man, like the LK24, I don't really know what else to say about the weapon. It just felt like it was good in those mid to long range engagements. Obviously, something like the MSMC or the RUS will go and kind of outpower it in those short range engagements. But nevertheless, the LK24 can at least stand a chance than like the AK-47, for example, in those short range engagements. But yes, be sure to go and check this weapon out. Okay, so very similar to the LK-24 here, another weapon that I really want you guys to go and test out is going to be the ASM-10, and this is indeed the weapon coming in at the number 5 spot, the ASM-10. So I feel like when it comes to this weapon, it kills people a lot faster than what it did back in previous seasons, as well as, you know, there is a slightly better recoil with the weapon. Like, I would say it's very similar to something like the AK-117, but you have to go and trade off like a little bit of the recoil for just a little bit more of the damage if you go and compare it to that weapon, because in my opinion, I feel like it is a really solid weapon to go and use. And you can definitely go and notice the actual damage increase that they have with this weapon. Because if you guys didn't know so already, within the patch notes, they said that they greatly increased the ASM-10 stability, as well as they went and increased the damage range. And I feel like those were two main things that I was able to go and notice right off the bat when going and using this weapon. So ASM-10, definitely a top 5 weapon currently in COD Mobile for Season 5, and it's something that I would really recommend you guys to go and try out. Okay, so when it comes to this next weapon here, I've been debating whether or not to go and put it lower on this list, and I was even thinking, oh, maybe it can be a little bit higher, but after, you know, thinking a little bit longer here, I decided at the number 4 spot here, this weapon should be perfect, and I'm going to go and give it to the MSMC. Now, when it comes to the MSMC, in my personal opinion, I feel like this weapon had the biggest change going into this new update here. Like, if you go and compare the MSMC in Season 4 and then looking at it in the Season 5 update, yeah, man, it is not the same MSMC that we all know and love. The main difference with it, and I shouldn't say like only main, this is a huge difference with this weapon, is just the amount of recoil on it now. Don't get me wrong, this weapon is still probably the best weapon to go and use at those short range engagements, but just the moment you go and find yourself in a medium to long range gunfight, that recoil is going to play a huge factor, and you're definitely going to go and notice it within the gameplay itself. So don't get me wrong, the MSMC is still a very powerful weapon to go and use, but the moment you go and find yourself in a mid to long range engagement, you're definitely going to be at a huge disadvantage if you're not that good at going and controlling recoil. For the number 3 spot here, I'm going to go and give it to the AK-117. Now, I know I'm not really saying anything new here, but in regards to the recoil, AK-117 by far the best gun to go and use in that regard. I know the damage isn't the greatest in the world, but you know, the recoil definitely kind of makes up for that factor because you'll be able to go and land a lot more shots, even though the damage isn't perfect. But it still is one of those just universal guns that you can use in the majority of situations you find yourself in, whether or not it's short range engagements, mid range engagements, or those long-term engagements. The AK-117 is a pretty good contender for all those types of gunfights, and if you guys didn't know so already, there wasn't any type of update with this weapon in regards to the Season 5 update. There was no nerf, there was no buff, it's the same AK-117 that you know back in Season 4, but in regards to going and listing it on the best weapons currently in Season 5 here, I am going to be ranking it at the number 3 spot. Okay, here we go. The number 2 spot And I'm really happy to go and see this weapon kind of making a return higher on this list here. But coming in at the number 2 spot here, I'm going to go and give it to the AKS, or the newly known RUS. I have a feeling that this is going to be a weapon that you're going to see a lot more people using, especially in like a ranked setting. I feel like it is by far the most consistent submachine gun currently in this game, and I do feel like it is better than the MSMC if you go and look at it from a universal perspective. Like the MSMC, it's amazing at short range, but when you go and compare it to something like the RUS, you can use it a lot in short range engagements, midterm engagements, and sometimes in those long-range gunfights that you'll occasionally find yourself in. And I just feel like the RUS is going to be that major substitute for the MSMC. Like, the firing rate with the RUS is really good. I know that the damage isn't as good when you go and compare it to the MSMC here, but nevertheless, I feel like this is a really solid weapon, and I would highly advise a lot of you guys to go and try it out, at least with the Season 5 update here, because you guys will definitely understand why I would go and rank this higher than like the MSMC, for example. And for the moment you guys have all been waiting for, what is, in my opinion, the best weapon in Season 5 for Call of Duty Mobile? I have to go and give it to the Type 25, man. Like, at first, I was really scared because within the patch notes, they said that they went and reduced the Type 25 close range damage. So I was thinking, oh god, this weapon is not going to be absolutely amazing anymore. But no, they didn't tweak the recoil with the weapon at all. They didn't go and tweak like the firing rate with the weapon at all. It's still the Type 25 that you know and love, even if they went and slightly reduced that short range damage. Like, you guys can go and try it out for yourself. It still feels absolutely amazing. And this was one of my favorite weapons for the longest time. Like, I would say ever since Season 3, the Type 25 has been my primary weapon of choice, and it feels good going into Season 5 here that the Type 25 is still a really solid weapon. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to go and wrap up the video there. Thank you guys oh so very much for tuning in and watching. If you guys agree or disagree with my list, be sure to go and let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to go and hear what you guys have to say about what some of the best weapons are currently in Season 5 for COD Mobile here. But with that said, my name is Parker. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful and fabulous day, because I certainly am. And I guess I'll talk to you guys within the next video.